folks. Hello, hello, and welcome. Let me turn myself up just a little bit so you can hear me. How's that, folks? How we doing? A little louder? All right, all right. That looks like we're doing a little better. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to KUHS Colorado, the show where we keep you updated on everything Denver. Live from KUHS Radio. Today is Wednesday, February 27th. I'm your host, Luis Bustos. Feel free to reach out to us through TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Follow us. We'll keep you in the loop on all things Denver and beyond, right? So, and that handle is at KUHS Denver. You might need that information. But let me just kind of get into it first. Well, first, let me mention this. This episode is brought to you by Inspire Success Coaching and Consulting. A little bit more about them here in just a minute. I just want to say, hey, happy Friday. We made it. It's been a really big week. There's a lot going on in our city, and I can't cover it all in this half hour, but I will sure try for you. I've got you, friend, okay? So let's just get right into it. Hickenlooper, Rosen, Senate Democrats urge Supreme Court to protect birthright citizenship. U.S. Senator John Hickenlooper of Colorado and Nevada Senator Jackie Rosen are joining 24 other Senate Democrats in asking the U.S. Supreme Court to protect birthright citizenship. In a new legal filing, the lawmakers urge the court to strike down former President Donald Trump's executive order that seeks to end automatic citizenship for children born in the United States. Birthright citizenship is grounded in the 14th Amendment of the United States Constitution, which states that anyone born in the United States is a citizen. The senators filed what's known as an amicus brief in a case now before the Supreme Court. Oral arguments are scheduled for April 1st, so we'll keep an eye on that for us. In statements released from Washington, Hickenlooper said birthright citizenship is written into the Constitution and called the effort to remove it senseless. Rosen said the Constitution is clear and asked the court to put an end to what she described as an illegal attempt to revoke citizenship from children born in the U.S. The case could have wide-ranging implications for immigration policy and for families across Colorado, including across the country, including here in Colorado, right? Depending on how the court rules. The story comes from a press release, so this is direct from John Hickenlooper. He's actually very active this week, but let me move on to this next story to tell you what else he's up to. So, Hickenlooper questions Trump's BLM nominee over public lands and methane rules. And just to clarify, BLM is the Bureau of Land Management, not the NGO Black Lives Matter, right? So, Hickenlooper questions Trump. So, Colorado U.S. Senators John Hickenlooper is pressing President Donald Trump's nominee to lead the Bureau of Land Management over the past statements on selling public lands and possible rollbacks on methane regulations. During a Senate Energy and Natural Resource Committee hearing in Washington, Hickenlooper questioned former Congressman Steve Pearce about his previous support for selling federal land and his position on environmental protections. Hickenlooper told the nominee that public lands hold deep economic and cultural value for Colorado, pointing on the state's outdoor recreation industry and strong public opposition to large-scale land sales. He said more than 80,000 Coloradans contacted his office when the proposal to sell public lands were discussed. The senator asked Pearce whether he could renounce past comments supporting land sales if confirmed. Pearce responded that large-scale sales are restricted under federal law and said many decisions would rest with the Interior Secretary. Hickenlooper also challenged Pearce on efforts by the Trump administration to roll back methane waste prevention rules, which limits gas venting and flaring on public lands. Pearce said he was not familiar with details of the proposed changes and he could not comment directly. The Bureau of Land Management oversees millions of acres of federal land, including large areas in Colorado, making the confirmation process particularly important for western states where energy development, conservation, and recreation interests often intersect. This is a very important story for here in Colorado because so much of our economy is dependent on access to these public lands, right? Everything from rafting to skiing to mountain climbing. We could go on forever, right? This is a very active state when it comes to outdoors. So thank you for Hickenlooper for keeping our best interest at heart. So, and next I want to update you on what Mayor Mike Johnston is up to. He's been very active this week, and he is getting stuff done. So let me keep you updated, right? So, Mayor Johnston signs executive order aimed at limiting federal immigration enforcement on city property. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston has signed a new executive order he says is designed to protect city residents from what he calls federal overreach in civil immigration enforcement. The order, announced Wednesday and published February 26, lays out guidelines for how Denver police and other city agencies will respond to immigration operations conducted by federal authorities. Under the policy, immigration agents are prohibited from staging on city property for civil immigration enforcement without a judicial warrant, court order, or legal requirement. The order also states that Denver police and sheriff's deputies have the duty to intervene if force used by immigration agents could cause death or serious injury. Officers are directed to provide life-saving aid if someone is harmed, and to document federal enforcement activity using body-worn cameras. The city says police will conduct independent investigations into any reported legal violations and refer felony matters to the Denver District Attorney or Colorado Attorney General, even if a federal investigation is also underway. The order further states that city agencies will not share databases or technology agreements with the Department of Homeland Security without a subpoena or court order. It also reaffirms that locations such as schools, churches, hospitals, libraries, and stadiums should remain off limits for civil immigration enforcement, consistent with existing law. Mayor Johnston said the city's goal is to protect civil liberties while continuing to work with law enforcement to remove violent criminals from the streets. For Denver residents, the order clarifies how local police will respond if federal immigration operations take place in the city. So this is directly from Mayor Mike Johnson. Um, this is big, folks, and I think, I guess for some context, right? So a few weeks ago, I would say about a month and a half ago, with the shooting of Alex Preddy, when that happened, the federal government basically dismissed, from my understanding, is they dismissed any kind of investigation into what happened. And I think, so my understanding of what Mayor Mike Johnson is trying to do here, he's making sure that if there is some kind of violence, that it is handled within Colorado as well if the federal government is refusing to do anything about it. This is a very powerful move, and I'm going to keep an eye on this story because I can't help but recognize that ICE is here in Denver. They are here in Denver. They are not in huge of numbers as Minneapolis, but they are still here. So let me move on to this next year. Let me tell you what Governor Polis is up to. So Governor Polis formalizes disaster declaration for avian flu outbreak in Weld County. Governor Jared Polis has signed an executive order formally memorializing a disaster declaration related to a highly pathogenic avian influenza outbreak in Weld County. The order confirms a verbal disaster declaration made January 29th by Lieutenant Governor Diane Primavera in coordination with the governor. State officials say the declaration allowed Colorado agencies to move quickly to support the agricultural sector by coordinating disease monitoring, mitigation efforts, response operations, and recovery planning. Weld County is one of Colorado's largest agricultural producers, making the response to avian flu critical for poultry operations, farmers, and related business across the region. Highly pathogenic avian influenza can spread rapidly among birds populations and has led to significant economic losses nationwide in recent years. For Colorado residents, this declaration helps ensure that resources can continue to be deployed to limit the spread of the virus and protect the agricultural economy. I know that Weld County is far away from Colorado, but this does impact us, folks. I don't know if you remember, let's say, I want to say it was like a year ago, that egg prices were insane. That's because we had a giant avian flu outbreak, right? And a lot of eggs had to be thrown away, a lot of chickens had to be killed, unfortunately, right? So this is a big deal, and we will keep following it. There's a little bit more news from Weld County, too, coming up, if you're listening from over there. So, Colorado awards $7.2 million to cut emissions in large buildings. The Polis administration is announcing more than $7 million in grants to help large buildings across Colorado improve energy efficiency and reduce pollution. The Colorado Energy Office says $7.2 million will go to 15 buildings owners through the state's large building decarbonization showcase grant program. 10 of the awards will fund high-level planning projects, while 5 will support major retrofits, including upgrades to heating and cooling systems within these buildings. State officials say the program is designed to help Colorado meet its goal of cutting pollution from large commercial, multifamily, and public buildings by 20% by the year 2030. Governor Jared Polis said the investment will help protect our air quality while also saving building owners money on energy bills. Of the 15 projects selected, 12 support what the state calls under-resourced buildings, including affordable senior housing, healthcare facilities, and nonprofits serving people with disabilities. Among the largest implementation grants, Intermountain Health will receive about $670,000 to modernize a hospital heating and cooling system. Walnut Place in Boulder will receive more than $1.3 million to install electric heat pumps in senior housing, and Mercy Housing Mountain Plains the Adams County Sheriff's Substantial will each receive $2 million for major upgrades. State officials say another round of implementation funding is coming and expected this summer, so we'll keep an eye on that to keep you in the loop. So, I know there was a fire recently in off 84th and Huron, and the Thornton mayor actually gave us a statement about it, so let me give that to you. So, Thornton mayor issues statement following 84th and Huron brush fire. The Thornton mayor, Jan Coleman, is speaking out after the brush fire near 84th Avenue and Huron Street caused a concern across South Thornton and in the metro area. This is close to Denver. This is very close to Denver, folks. So, in a statement released Friday the 26th, the mayor called the fire a frightening experience for residents and business owners, especially as smoke from the blaze reminded many of the devastating Marshall Fire. Coleman said weather conditions were at their worst for fire of this kind, but credited Thornton's emergency responders along with assisting agencies for their quick action. According to the mayor, first responders moved rapidly to contain the fast-spreading fire, evacuate nearby residents who may have been in the immediate danger, and limit damage. She also thanked regional partners for providing backup support both in Thornton and throughout the metro area. The cause of the fire remains under investigation. City leaders are urging residents to remain vigilant as dry conditions continue across the region. And here a little bit in the show, I also have another story released from Weld County that is going to detail what you can do to basically prepare your house for something like this for a fire, right? So we'll get to that in just a minute. But let me tell you about what's happening with this bipartisan bill, okay? So a bipartisan bill is to expand affordable homeownership programs advances here at the state capitol. And this is coming from Colorado State Dems. So these next few stories are. So let me kind of tell you what they're up to this week. A bipartisan bill aimed at expanding affordable homeownership opportunities in Colorado has passed its first legislative hurdle. State lawmakers approved Senate Bill 26040 in the Senate Local Government and Housing Committee, moving forward to a plan to update the affordable homeownership program created by voter-approved Proposition 123. The bill, sponsored by Democratic Senator Judy Amable of Boulder and Republican Senate Minority Leader Cleve Simpson of Alamosa, would expand eligibility requirements to better match today's housing market. Supporters say the program was designed in 2022 before rising interest rates and higher construction and insurance costs made homeownership more difficult for many Coloradans. Under the proposal, the income limit to qualify would increase up to 120% of area median income, a change lawmakers say could help more buyers, especially in rural communities, access the program. The bill would also create flexibility around housing cost limits, allowing home buyers to spend more than 35% of their income on housing if a qualified buyer is not found after 6 months. In addition, eligible organizations could temporarily rent units that do not sell right away, helping keep housing available and program funds active. Again, this is coming from Colorado State Dems. This next story is too. And I know that I reference the Colorado State Dems a lot in this show, because, and that's not because I'm exclusively covering them. Since they are the dominant majority, a lot of even their work with the Republicans gets kind of published through them, right? I also do check with the Republican Dems, or the Republican site here for Colorado too. They're just not as active, and I know that's because they collaborate a lot with the Dems. Just know that I am working hard to keep this balanced, okay? But let me move on to this next story. So, bill creating Cradle to Career Grant program advances in Colorado's Senate Committee. A bill aimed at improving economic mobility for Colorado families is moving forward at the state capitol. The Senate Local Government and Housing Committee has approved a Senate Bill 2680, sponsored by Senate President James Coleman of Denver and co-sponsored by Republican State Minority Leader Cleve Simpson of Alamosa. The legislation would create a new Cradle to Career grant programs within the Colorado Department of Human Services. The program would fund community-based initiatives designed to support children and families from prenatal development through education, job training, and entry into the workforce. Supporters say the goal is to address generational poverty by investing in local programs that improve school readiness, expand skills training, and help people secure stable, family-sustaining jobs. Eligible applicants would include local government colleges and universities, tribal organizations, and nonprofit groups working on educating and workforce development. The program would be overseen by an advisory board and funded by support from Harlem Children's Zone, a national nonprofit known for cradle to career education models. This is such a cool story, folks. Let me read one more, but then we'll go to commercial break, okay? So, EV battery recycling bill advances in Colorado Senate Committee. TA bill aimed at improving how Colorado handles used electric vehicle batteries is moving forward at the state capitol. Senate Bill 26003 has cleared the Senate Transportation and Energy Committee. The measure is sponsored by Senator Katie Wallace of Longmont and Assistant Majority Leader Lisa Cutter from Jefferson County. The legislation would create a clear framework of how electric vehicle batteries are collected, stored, reused, and recycled at the end of the vehicle's life cycle. Under the bill, EV manufacturers would be required to collect and responsibly manage unwanted batteries. That includes promoting reuse or repurposing when possible and ensuring safe, responsible recycling when batteries are no longer to be used. Manufacturers would also have to submit regular safety plans that Colorado's Department of Public Health and Environment's and Hazardous Waste Division. The bill would establish new environmental and safety standards, including minimum mineral recovery rates with the goal of reducing waste, limiting fire risk, and cutting down on the need for newly mined materials. Supporters say as Colorado continues to seek growth in electric vehicle use, the state needs to plan and to handle batteries safely and sustainably. For Colorado drivers, this measure could help ensure that electric vehicles remain a lower emissions option from purchase through the end of life. So, this is a really cool story because, for example, I drive an EV. Well, my household, we have an EV, And that is honestly my biggest fear. And I think everyone's seen those videos online of like you'll see an EV catch on. It's usually Teslas, you know, but it does happen to other EVs, right? And it's not because it's a Tesla; it's because it's a battery, right? Um, and that is kind of my concern too, because like what happens when this giant block of battery is unusable, or if we upgrade the car, or if we get in a crash and we can't drive the car anymore? This is a lot of minerals, and people are literally mining into the earth to create these batteries. So this is a wonderful program. We'll keep an eye on it. But with that being said, I'm going to go to commercial for just a minute, and we're going to come back and talk about what's happening in Weld County and how you can protect your house from a potential wildfire.
Denver moves fast. Don't get left behind. Denver Today brings you the top headlines from around the city and explains why they matter. Hosted by Luis Bustos, Wednesday and Friday at noon. Real news, real Denver on KUHSdenver.com.
All right, all right. Whoa, whoa. Let me turn that down. Excuse me, excuse me. So, welcome back, welcome back. Thank you for your patience. And welcome back to the KUHS Colorado show. I guess we're the new show. This is the show where I keep you in the loop on all things Denver and beyond. We actually used to be called Denver Today, but we're actually going to expand into KUHS Colorado because this is a big state, and I come from the Western Slope, and living out there, you don't really know what's going on. But I think the best we can do is kind of work with them, right, and share their news, and then they can know what's going on here in Denver, right? That's a very simplified version of what we're doing here, right? But let's just get back into it, right? So here's 3 things to know from RTD this week. This is kind of a fun little thing that RTD released. So the Regional Transportation District is sharing 3 updates for riders across the Denver metro area focused on safety, community events, and Women's History Month. First, RTD Transit Police have started patrolling from 2 new substations to boost security and response times. One location is at the Elati Light Rail Facility in Inglewood, and the other is the downtown Boulder Station. Officials say the expanded presence is meant to increase visibility and help create a more welcoming transit environment. Second, RTD is inviting the public to support the Colfax Avenue businesses during a bus rapid transit project event Monday, March 2nd. Crews will install a new station arch at Fillmore Street, and community partners are promoting special deals for local small businesses during the event. This is a really cool one, folks, because I don't know how often y'all drive through Colfax, that area, by the Fillmore, like right out of downtown. Um, it's If I had a business there, I'd be really scared. There's been construction going on for like a year, right? And it seems like they're finally concluding. So it would be really cool if you can go get out there, maybe go buy a donut at Voodoo Donuts, something, just go contribute. I know everything's expensive right now, but the best we can do is help each other, right? So, and third, this is what I'm really excited about. So let me tell you. RTD is marking Women's History Month by highlighting women working in transportation and their role in shaping the future of transit, connecting today's industry to the broader history of women's rights and workplace advancement. That's just super cool. And they actually released a full story on it, so let me share that with you too. RTD marks Women's History Month by highlighting women shaping the future of transportation. The Regional Transportation District is celebrating Women's History Month by recognizing women across the agency who are helping shape the future of public transportation. This year's national theme is Leading the Change, Women Shaping a Sustainable Future. RTD's internal theme is Resilience and Reinvention, focusing on women who have navigated career transitions, advanced equity, and strengthened public trust. RTD is spotlighting 3 employees, Chris Horton and his administration in human resources transitioned from the aviation industry to RTD and now works on a system that supports payroll, benefits, and workforce operations. Casey D'Souza, an equal employment opportunity investigator, advanced into her current role while pregnant and now oversees investigations and compliance efforts designed to promote fair and equitable workplace practices. Good for her. Good for her. Working while pregnant is what a fighter. Um, And Christine Howland, a former law enforcement professional and U.S. Army veteran, now serves as a sales and information agent helping riders navigate the transit system and access services. RTD also highlighted ongoing efforts to support women through Small Businesses Enterprise Program, Equal Employment Opportunity Office, and Language Access Plan, all aimed at expanding equity in contracting employment and customer service. For riders and employees across the Denver metro area, the agency says the month is a chance to reflect on how women have helped shape transportation systems and how that work continues today. This is such a cool story, folks. Um, I we'll see what we can do. I want to get involved with this month with the RTD to go. So maybe we can go cover an event or something too. I just share that with you. So Denver launches a public process to update city energy code. The city and county of Denver are beginning a public process to update its energy code, the rules that govern energy use and efficiency standards for new and renovated buildings. Denver Community Planning and Development Department, in partnership with the Office of Climate Action, Sustainability, and Resiliency, announced the update this week. City officials say the goal is to align Denver's building standards with state and international industry guidelines, while also considering local cost impacts and advancing the city's climate targets. Buildings are currently the largest source of greenhouse gas emissions in Denver, according to the city leaders. They say improving energy and efficiency in new homes and commercial projects can help lower carbon pollution, reduce energy bills, and improve air quality. The update process will include input from builders, technical experts, and community stakeholders. The city is now recruiting members for stakeholder communities and technical subcommittees with the focus on both residential and commercial reconstruction. The review process is expected to continue into early 2027. So, let me just move on to this next story. That was a lot, I know, I'm sorry. But we'll keep it pushing. I just gotta get through these stories so you know what's going on. So, Denver and Adams County selected for national pilot to prevent homelessness before it starts. Denver and Adams County have been selected as one of 10 regions nationwide to launch a new program aimed at preventing homelessness before people lose their housing. The Metro Denver Homelessness Initiative announced a partnership with Right at Home, a national effort designed to help at-risk households stay stably housed through early intervention and financial support. Local leaders say the program will work to keep more than 1,000 individuals and families in their homes over the next 5 years by providing flexible financial assistance and case management to people at risk of eviction or housing loss. According to the most recent Metro Denver point in time count, more than 10,700 people were experiencing homelessness in the region in 2025. Officials say the strategy focuses on prevention rather than crisis response, stepping in before a missed paycheck or financial emergency leads to a housing instability situation. The model is based on a program developed in Santa Clara County, California, where more than 90% of participating households remained housed 2 years after receiving support. The initiative has received national funding and will provide Metro Denver with a $425,000 planning grant, with at least $5 million expected over the next 3 years to implement the program. Denver Mayor Mike Johnson said the efforts is intended to prevent evictions and help families remain stable while reducing the need for more costly emergency services. So this is a wonderful story too, and you folks know that I care deeply about homelessness in our city, and you know, and I guess I'll say this: I've never been homeless, but you don't have to be. You don't have to have lived that experience to recognize that it is brutal and it is scary, especially here in Colorado where it gets so cold in the winter and it gets so hot in the summer. I think everyone deserves to live with dignity, and this program seems like a wonderful way to address that, right? So, we move on to some more resources though, if you are kind of going through something here in Colorado. Free link on demand rideshare expanding into Parker. More Douglas County residents will soon have access to free on demand rides. The Douglas County Board of Commissions has approved a $4.4 million contract to continue and expand the link on demand rideshare program, adding services into Northern and Central Parker starting in April 2026. This service will cover Parker, Highlands Ranch, and Lone Tree, with the expansion moving fast through Stonegate. The town of Parker is contributing $250,000 toward the cost. The funding for the program comes from Douglas County Road and Bridge Sales and Use Tax, specifically allocated for transit and mobility projects. Link on Demand first launched in Lone Tree and expanded into Highlands Ranch in 2025. County officials say the program provided more than 72,000 rides last year and maintained a 4.9 out of a 5-star rating from riders. So, the service is designed to help people get doctor's appointments, work, school, or grocery stores, especially those with mobility challenges, older adults, students, or anyone without access to a car. Rides are available 6 days a week with no service on Sundays. Residents can download the Link on Demand app to schedule a ride or call the service directly. And I know it sounds a little disheartening that they're not available on Sundays if you're a person that needs to get to church. Reach out to your church. I'm sure there's somebody that would love to pick you up. We find community where you can, right? So, Douglas community is actually investing $1.5 million in year-round aerial firefighting support. I know we were talking about the fires here a minute ago, so let me give you these last two stories before we head out for the day. So Douglas County Commissioners have approved a $1.53 million investment to ensure the firefighter's helicopter is ready to respond to wildfires throughout 2026. The foundation secures an updated contract with Trans-Aero Limited for a Type 2 helicopter capable of dropping about 300 gallons of water directly onto active fires. Colorado officials say the aircraft will be based in Douglas County for at least 168 days through the end of the year and can be activated at any time if fire danger levels increase. In 2025, a similar helicopter responded to 33 wildfires, including 24 within Douglas County and 9 assist missions in other areas, with costs reimbursed. Emergency managers say aerial support plays a critical role in slowing fast-moving fires and supporting crews on the ground as they work to protect homes and lives. County leaders note that wildfires maintain the region's top natural hazard and say the investment is intended to keep response times fast and community better protected year-round. Officials are also urging residents to create defensible space around their homes and take personal wildfire mitigation steps. I know that seems really confusing in the sense of like, what do you do? How can I prevent a fire, right? Let's talk about it because Elbert County actually released a press release that details what you can do. So let me give that to you real quick. So if you live in or near Elbert County grasslands, prairies, or pine forests, county officials say you may be in wildland urban interface, or WUI, where homes border natural vegetation and face higher wildlife risks. This isn't just Albert. This is a lot of Colorado, especially like if you get out to Aurora, there are people's backyards. It'll just be the fence, and then it's just a mile of grass, right, or whatever. So if it applies to you, take it with you, right? So with dry conditions and warmer temperatures continuing, officials remind residents that wildfires can happen at any time of the year. Residents that live Wildfire Ready campaign, a partnership between Colorado State University and Colorado Department of Natural Resources. Residents are encouraged to take simple, low-cost steps to reduce their risk. Those steps include clearing leaves and pine needles from roofs and gutters, keeping firewood at least 30 feet away from their home, pruning tree branches away from roof lines and chimneys, mowing grass to 4 inches or less within 30 feet of structures, and screening vents with metal mesh to prevent embers from entering. Officials also urge residents to create a defensible space around their homes and clear flammable materials near propane tanks and gas meters. Beyond property preparation, emergency managers recommend having an evacuation plan in place, preparing a go bag for people and pets, and signing up for free emergency alerts at albertcountyyalert.com. For Elbert County families, taking preventative steps now can make a critical difference if a wildfire sparks nearby. So this is serious, folks. I have a friend of mine who lost her house to a fire. She was in her maybe 22. It can be devastating. And I think even the concept, and for peace of mind, even making a go bag, just having something ready at the door might give you a little peace of mind if you're a person that lives with a lot of anxiety over what's happening here in Colorado and our country and the government, XYZ, right? Start with what you can control, right? And I'm rooting for you. So, but with that being said, I want to end the show on a little bit of a lighter note. Brighton, my little hometown, Brighton, announces a call for artists for annual Art in the Park Festival. I'm super excited for this, folks. This is my first time going, and I'm taking you with me, okay? The city of Brighton is now accepting applications from artists from its annual Art in the Park Festival, set for Saturday, September 12th at Carmichael Park. The one-day event will run from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and will feature local artists, live performances, interactive activities, and community art market. Organizers say artists working in all mediums and crafts are invited to apply, as long as submissions are family-friendly. The deadline to apply for an artist booth is August 17th. Artists can find applications and submit their materials at www.brightonartinthepark.com. That is www.brightonartinthepark.com. But with that being said, I guess we're finishing just a minute early today, folks. We made it. We actually made it through all the stories for once. But I want to say thank you so much for tuning in. I know that we have a very small crew listening right now, but we are growing, and it's been really wonderful to have you all here with me. And if you hate the show, if you love it, leave us a comment. I want to know what works, what doesn't, so we can be better, because that's what we do here. We grow. But with that being said, I'm actually going to bring you back to the radio. So let me. Whoa, we're just going to call it a day. Thank you so much, folks.